in the coming days. Well, let's talk about Iran now. Ibrahim Raisi has won Iran's presidential election. This was the country's lowest ever election turnout. The ultra-conservative 60-year-old is known as the Butcher. He's also reportedly killed up to 30,000 activists in mass executions and even allegedly tortured pregnant women. Amnesty International is calling for Raisi to be investigated for these crimes. Let's welcome in now Corey Mills. He's running for Congress in Florida's 7th Congressional District. He's also a combat veteran. Corey, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Ibrahim Raisi is a bad dude, right? He's a bad guy. This is a sign, I think an opportunity perhaps for Jake Sullivan and President Biden to realize what's going on here and that there is no room for negotiation with the Iranians.
Well, Ibrahim Raisi is probably one of the biggest hardliners out there. He used to be the former Supreme Judiciary. He was responsible for the execution of many political, opponents that were going into the races who were not of the same mindset. He was even responsible for trying to eliminate many of the moderate president candidates who were actually trying to step into the race. That's why, if you look at the turnout this time, only 48% of Iran actually voted in this election. Of that, he received about 61% of those electoral votes. So if you want to call it that. He is fully sponsored by the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He is fully supported by the former Quds Force commander, Qasem Soleimani, who he was very close with. He was being investigated for human rights atrocities already. And now here he is, lo and behold, the president of Iran. Again, it just sets the mark of why President Trump stayed out of the JCPOA, why we continue to hold Iran as our main adversary outside of China accountable for their actions, and why we continue to increase our sanctions. And now you got the Biden administration looking to loosen things up and help to support them.
And how can the Biden administration, Corey, justify loosening sanctions given Ibrahim Raisi's record?
Well, as you just heard from your own press correspondent, Emerald, they won't even go ahead and hold China accountable for what they've done with the Wuhan lab release. So, they continue to try and look at things from a completely different measure. They don't hold adversaries accountable. Jake Sullivan knows that. So does Secretary Blinken, who was this brainchild for JCPOA, which is a failed agreement. Even the former UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon and Gutierrez both admitted that Iran had failed on their agreement within the JCPOA Resolution 2231. And here the Biden administration wants to loosen sanctions, put money into the hands of proxy militias, threaten American civilizations, threaten stability, and not utilize the Abraham Accord and rejoin a failed strategy once again.
It doesn't seem like a winning strategy, Corey, and it does seem more of this appeasement strategy that we saw under the Biden, I always say that, I get it wrong, the Obama administration. But again, a continuation of that. Some of the same players, including Jake Sullivan, don't know what they would expect would change this time around. Corey, great to see you as always.
Thanks, John.
All right, let's bring in Ambassador John Bolton for more on this. Of course, he is the former United States Ambassador to the United Nations and the former National Security Director under President Trump for a while. Ambassador Bolton, great to see you again.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about the new Iranian president. Obviously not a nice guy, actually a very bad guy. And you hear the Biden administration talking about appeasement again with them. Is there any path forward for the JCPOA with this guy? Not that there was before, but what does this do actually to their prospects and what they're hoping to do?
Well, I think it reinforces the fact that there is no evidence whatever that Iran has made a strategic decision to give up its pursuit originally signed. They haven't since then. They're not going to, because they're determined to get nuclear weapons. And any idea that the Biden administration has about going back into this deal really is surrendering to an idea about Iran's conduct that sadly is not going to come true. It's going to leave the United States, it's going to leave our friends in the Middle East and really around the world at risk of this very dangerous regime.
Do you believe that the Biden administration's desire to get back into the JCPOA is based more on them doing the polar opposite of what the Trump administration did than based on, sound judgment?
No, I think it's based on near religious fixation that they want to get back to what Obama did. The Obama team views the Iran nuclear deal as their second-term equivalent of Obamacare in the first term. And although they don't like to say it publicly, it rests on the assumption that if they could just calm the Ayatollahs down and convince them that they don't need to worry about the United States and Israel, they can solve the nuclear program, Iran will behave like a normal nation, and sweetness and light will break out in the Middle East. It really is a fantasy, and it's a dangerous fantasy.
What do they think is going to be different this time? I mean, why try? It didn't work the last time. What do they think is going to be different this time?
Well, they think it was working, and they're just completely wrong on that. They have no idea how flawed the deal is, and they see it as something that can be a model, really, for their non-proliferation efforts around the world, and it's extraordinarily dangerous. Israel sees it. The Gulf Arab states see it. They do not.
The case in point, the example of that is, and the evidence of that is the Abraham Accords. They see Iran as a bigger threat to Middle East stability than Israel at this point. I want to talk about your book as well. There was a Wall Street Journal editorial this weekend that talks about the DOJ's decision to drop trying to shut this book down. But here's what the WSJ said. There are no heroes in this saga, but justice is acting in the public interest. Then they go on to say this, quote, Mr. Bolton's dogged insistence on broadcasting his experiences ahead of the 2020 election for personal gain wasn't his finest hour, yet honor in politics won't be restored by abusing the publication review process and narrowing the First Amendment. So a win for the First Amendment here, but the lesson, I guess, from this Wall Street Journal opinion piece is that just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean you should. And a lot of people are still questioning the timing of your book, Ambassador.
Well, that's they're entitled to. I would just say this: if Donald Trump were an honorable man, it would have been a different kind of book. I don't think he was fit to be president, and I thought it was the right thing to do to let the American people know that. The administration tried to prevent the book from being published on the pretext that it contained classified information. I think that's clearly been demonstrated now to be false.
But didn't a judge initially say that he probably thought it did have classified information in it? And that...
Yeah, and I think he was shown things by lawyers that prepared by the White House and the Justice Department. We weren't there. I supposedly wrote the book, and we weren't allowed to see it. But the official at the NSC responsible for making sure there was no classified information in the book fully cleared it.
Well, Ambassador Bolton, there's a lot of people here watching this that are curious what you had to say. A lot of people not so much, but we appreciate your time. I do like to get your thoughts on Iran. And I just remember the first time ever meeting you at the NRA convention. You were always very nice to me, so I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ambassador John Bolton with us. Thank you, sir.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.